Radical enthusiasm doesn't mean self-delusion or deranged manic elation. It means persisting even when the situation objectively sucks. It's disheartening, it's infuriating, it's revolting. And when there's a part of you that understandably feels like, why should I even bother anymore? The situation is going to suck regardless. Deciding to proceed with radical enthusiasm anyway gives you agency, and it tends to make things suck a little or a lot less. If you've seen any of my other videos, then you know from my little ad at the end that I sell premium law and business course content on my website, legalconsideration.com. I know that this niche is risky because a lot of influencers will just copy-paste AI-generated slop into a PDF, paste their logo onto it, create a couple of videos with banalities and platitudes and fluff, promote the bejesus out of it, and then sell it for $800.
Hey guys, this is the ultimate success course and it is only $800. I mean, who needs structure when you can just copy my slop and get rich? Don't think just...
If you've been burned by one of those scammers once, you're going to be reluctant to buy again. At the same time, I personally have paid premium prices, once over $1,000 and often a couple hundred, for various online courses over the years where it was so clear that the instructor was an expert in his or her field and put a lot of genuine care and effort into creating original, useful materials for the students who are willing to make the financial investment. So when the Employment Law Fundamentals for Doctors and Allied Health Professionals course went live, it was not selling as well as I'd hoped. This is always crummy when you dedicate a couple hundred hours into something and it's just not finding its audience. I couldn't really dwell on it though because I was trying to get my Content Creator Council course live before the end of the month, which meant about 60 hours of work a week on top of my regular law firm practice obligations. Now, this all happened a while ago. It was October of last year, which was around the time when all of those Jake Paul Sora AI videos started going viral, enough so to even reach an old auntie like me. And a couple of creators I respected just so happened to post videos about how online course content is DOA thanks to the aforesaid oversaturated market of influencer-shilled AI-generated crap. Now, I'd spend about 6 hours editing videos for the new course, refresh my sales page to see if I'd made any money on the existing course, and very frequently there would be exactly 0 new purchases. And then I had to muster up the will to edit for another 6 hours straight, even though, logically speaking, it did seem like the market had spoken. People want to just look at mindless AI slop and not think too hard. Online education is a time-expensive gamble. Marketing and flash take precedence over substance. And hard work doesn't necessarily mean shit if you don't know how to package it or if the market demand simply isn't there. And then I'd watch another one of those asinine Jake Paul videos, and I laughed so hard that tears were streaming down my face. I laughed until my sides ached for almost 10 minutes straight. Now, of course, that was born out of frustration and anger and me being too stubborn to actually cry. But I realized in that moment that I could take the position, if you can't beat them, join them, and pivot my business channel, Legal Consideration, into just producing rage bait or just using ChatGPT to create scripts that mimic whatever posts in my genre are doing well, or I could quit completely. Or I could finish the content creator course in accordance with the high standards I had set for it, use everything I had learned from creating the employment law course, and only then could I just take a step back and reevaluate where Legal Consideration as a business model goes from there. Now, this is just a very, very small and ultimately inconsequential example of the genesis of this video, because notwithstanding the current culture of total transparency, share everything, be vulnerable and a victim because that makes you authentic narrative, I'm actually not obligated to share the more consequential parts of my life story with anyone, much less blast them over the internet to Lord knows who, even if they'd be relevant to this topic. But if you're thinking that me being frustrated about AI wiping out common sense and creativity is petty, particularly given that I have the audacity to do so after openly admitting that I, in fact, have used AI to create B-roll video,
AI-generated B-roll like this clip,
and cartoon images, which I actually stand by as I need to cut costs to keep my channels economically viable. And I've even admitted that I used to use ChatGPT to generate asinine hooks that were absolute slop for some early book review videos on legal consideration, and I absolutely regret that, and it makes me cringe. But okay, that's fair. It is petty and inconsequential. But the same principles apply to far more significant events. I personally have caught some truly lucky breaks over the years. Yes, I've also caught some rough ones, some really rough ones. And I can look back on my responses to those situations, particularly when I was in my 20s, and I can tell you that when my reactions at the time were either, F it, let's just give up, or F it, let's set it all on fire, I inevitably made a bad, unfortunate, unlucky situation orders of magnitude worse than it would have been otherwise. Whereas those stories where you take a rough break, but you're resilient and get through it in due time, or even better, if you catch a rough break and you can actually transform it into an opportunity, they didn't happen because the person was passive. They happen because the person does the work to actually improve their own luck, and that means showing up with a good attitude even when you don't really feel like it. And that's the point of today's video. Not just to rag on AI and the idiot grown adults who get their opinions from bots and their behavioral cues from teenage edgelords. My challenge right now is to figure out, how do I stay true to my own voice and my desire for nuance and deep thinking, even when every time I open social media, it tries to draw me into an abyss of stupidity. I follow a few creators who do this so well. They make long-form content about complicated issues, speaking to their audience with respect for their intelligence, and not caving to the siren call of AI slop. I'm learning from them, and I'm staying inspired by them, but making sure that I don't mimic them. I struggle, learn, and persist. So this week, when you come across your own frustration, whether it's big or it's small, whether it's career-related or otherwise, at least once before you decide, F it, I don't need this, choose to persist a little while longer. Try to find some humor in the BS. If you want to post an angry message in the comments like, my dog has cancer and I don't know how I'm going to afford the vet bills, or my mother-in-law has dementia and she's abusive and cruel, where's the humor in that? Then you're missing the point. Exercising radical enthusiasm in those contexts is grad school level work. It's cool if you're not there yet. Choose something much smaller, like shrugging your shoulders and heading to the local track if your gym is unexpectedly closed for the day due to a burst pipe. Or if your Bumble date flakes, you decide you'll go to the bar anyway and talk to a stranger about the game or the weather or whatever for however long it takes you to have one drink. If even that's too much, maybe you just do push-ups or Pilates in your house for 20 minutes. When in doubt, work out. Start stacking up little resilience and anti-fragility wins, and in time you'll be ready to progress to the bigger ones. Okay, if you made it to the end of this video, you're awesome. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Liking and subscribing really helps this new channel, and it also helps me determine what types of content you might find helpful or interesting. If you're a business owner, creative professional, lawyer, entrepreneur, or in corporate, please check out the other YouTube channel I mentioned, Legal Consideration, or visit legalconsideration.com to accelerate your own learning on all things law, business, and finance. You can also buy my newest fiction novel, Where Ice Meets Sky, available on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, and at select bookstores. It's an Odyssey-inspired Arctic survival and adventure story about courage, resilience, and leadership amidst impossible odds for a young adult audience, but with adult crossover appeal. Even if you don't do any of things, I still appreciate you for tuning into this episode and sticking out my little AI rant. Until our next project, stay heavy and stay handy.